Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone, and welcome to Moral Compass 101. It's my hope that you have had a good week. Mine has been wonderful, and in the words of the psalmist 150 verses 2, I have continued to praise Jehovah for his mighty acts and his excellent greatness. In our last topic, we dealt with the need for change, where I say that passivity is not a safe choice, but rather a decision that allows external forces to dictate your fate. Without change, we say that change comes with both beneficiaries and casualties. Beneficiary being those people who embrace change, and casualties being the people who resist it. Having said that, please implore you to subscribe to Moral Compass 101 so that we can get edified together, to comment so that we can interact and like and share so that we can spread knowledge correctly. Our today's topic is an acronym by the name M.I.D.A. An acronym M.I.D.A, which is spelled M.I.D.A. M.I.D.A is an acronym that I coined to signify the process of change, or the change process in a sequential or in a sequence manner. M.I.D.A, it's just an acronym. The decision to change can be well captured in the maxim that says, the best arithmetic you can learn is the calculation of your current reluctance to change and the future repercussion. This is one of my many quotes, that the best arithmetic you can learn is the calculation of your current reluctance to change and the future repercussions that comes with that laxity. This maxim also brings our attention to the two determinants of change, namely cost-benefit analysis and consideration of future consequences. These are the two determinants of change. Let's first deal with the first one, which is cost-benefit analysis. This is the cost of staying the same, which is represented by future repercussions that include becoming reluctant, missed opportunities, and eventual failure. That cost-benefit analysis, will subject you to three alternatives. You either become irrelevant, you miss opportunities in life, or you become a failure. And the second thing that it does, it also goes ahead to capture the cost of changing, which includes the required efforts, uncertainty, and transitional disruptions. If you have to evaluate the cost-benefit analysis of change, you also have to consider the efforts that are required to acquire that change, the uncertainty that comes with that change, and the transitional disruptions. In other words, change will get you from a point of comfort, from unknown to the unknown. Okay, the second determinant of change is consideration of future consequences, which is also called the CFC theory. Uh, this theory suggests that people who are mindful of the future consequences of their actions are more likely to make responsible choices in the present. I think that is self-explanatory. This is where the acronym M.I.D.A, which is a sequence change process or a complete metamorphosis, or if you like, transformation of change, comes in. M.I.D.A, the first letter is M. M stands for motive. Motive is the why. And the intriguing question that goes with motive is, why do I need to change? Why do I need to change? Motive is the fundamental impetus or force, the underlying fundamental reason, desire, or psychological drive that instigates an intention. I'll repeat that statement. Motive is the foundational impetus or force, the underlying fundamental reason, desire, or psychological drive that instigates an intention. It's worth noting that a motive can either be honest or ulterior. Even though it has times without number been argued otherwise, an ulterior motive can never morally ensue a pure intention whatsoever. Different people have argued otherwise, but anytime we begin a change or your change with an ulterior motive, it cannot morally translate to a pure intention. So, while the eventual outcome may be beneficial, where the motive is ulterior, the intention is never pure, and hence the decision and the action towards that outcome will automatically be insincere. You know, just like I said, if you start with ulterior motive, the whole metamorphosis of change, regardless of it being beneficial, it will be insincere morally. So, we go to the second letter in M.I.D.A, which is I. I stands for intention. Intention is the deliberate result of your motive that instigates a conscious plan where your self-will takes precedence to commit to your motive. In matters change, an intention towards any decision is greatly influenced by the motive. Since this is a sequence, you know, the first determinant, which is motive, will greatly influence the second item, which is intention. So we can say that the intention of your change is incumbent upon your motive. So next we have letter D. That's what? The intriguing question of letter D is what? D stands for decision. And the intriguing question thereof is, what decision best suits the probable change? What decision do you need to make? You know, we say that you cannot make any change without uninformed decisions. Decision is the pivot point or the nexus where different potential choices, alternatives, or options are diligently weighed and eventually a selection made. That you have to weigh different options, you know, do enough research, and then make one choice. That's decision. Decision-making process involves evaluating both competing and comparing reasons for and against an action, where eventually a course of action is established or determined. You have to weigh so many alternatives in order for you to come with a viable decision. You have to have enough information so that your inference is an informed decision, will be viable. Last but not least, we have letter A. A stands for action, and the intriguing question is, how must I change? How do I do? How do I approach this aspect called change, or this need called change? An action is a practical execution or the implementation of a decision. So it's from motive to intention to decision, and then finally to an action, which is the practical execution or the implementation of your decision. It's the goal-directed behavior that emanates from a presiding mental process of change. After all, is penalty-free thought clearly said or stated and perfectly done, it's indisputable to say that on matters change, a motive fuels an intention that leads to a decision which culminates in an action. I'll repeat that statement. On matters change, a motive fuels or powers an intention that leads to a decision which culminates in an action. So that's the whole metamorphosis of change as a necessity of life. In closing, while it's inarguable that change can at times frail feathers, change isn't about perfection. It's about showing up for the classroom of your own life on quotidian basis, even when it gets uncomfortable. That, change is not a matter of being perfect, but you have to show up every day, and try as hard as you can, work hard and smart in order to achieve your goals, in order to change from mediocrity. Hence, in your dire need to feed your purpose and lead a life of contentment and fulfillment, transformational change will help you to unlearn the worst insidious societal lesson that success equals material possession and external validations. So, in your struggle to change, one of the greatest things that you have to unlearn is a societal norm. That insidious societal norm or lesson that since times immemorial, have tied success with material possessions and external validations. If you don't have self-esteem, it will be an uphill task to embrace change, because if you're waiting for people to validate you externally, then you don't have what it takes. to make great choices and decisions towards changing your life. Until next time, please stay safe. Blessings and shalom.